Welcome to this explainer. Today we're decoding the fascinating science of hematology. We're going to completely bypass the rote memorization of biology class and build a true, logical understanding of the fluid that literally keeps us alive. Let's get right into it.
So let's kick things off with a pretty shocking paradox. Your body is destroying about 2 million of its own cells every single second. Right now. Hearing that out loud, well, it sounds terrifying, right? You'd think it's a symptom of some terrible degenerative disease. But actually, scratch that, it's the exact opposite. This massive, continuous cellular death isn't an illness at all. It's absolutely crucial. It's your ultimate survival mechanism at work. Section 1. River of Life, Human Blood. To understand this incredible survival mechanism, we really have to start at the macro level. Blood is technically classified as a fluid connective tissue, which kind of feels like a mental roadblock, doesn't it? We usually think of tissue as something solid, like muscle or skin. But think about its actual function. It's the only medium that seamlessly connects the uppermost brain cell all the way down to the lowest cell in your big toe. Blood is a tissue simply because it unites every single part of your body's network into one unified living system. It just happens to flow. Now, an average, healthy adult has about 5 to 6 liters of this fluid constantly pumping through them. But what's truly vital here is its pH level, a highly specific 7.4. This slightly alkaline number isn't just a random statistic. It is, quite literally, a matter of life and death. To put that into perspective, inside your body, millions of chemical reactions are happening every second. And they're all driven by incredibly finicky enzymes that demand absolutely perfect conditions. If your blood's pH drops from that perfect 7.4 down to just 7.1, your blood becomes acidic. This is a state called acidosis. Those picky enzymes, they just stop working. Systems crash, and a person can quickly slip into a coma. Because of this razor-thin margin, your lungs and kidneys fight a relentless 24/7 war to maintain that exact 7.4 balance. A tiny deviation crashes the whole shebang.
Section 2. Plasma, Cleaning, and Protection. Let's zoom in on the actual water of our biological river. If we split that blood apart, it's not just one red liquid. 55 to 60% of it is plasma. That's the liquid part of the river. The remaining 40 to 45% consists of the actual blood cells. You can think of those as the highly specialized boats just floating down that river.
Focusing strictly on that plasma component for a moment, let's look at what it's actually made of. It is overwhelmingly composed of water, about 90 to 92% in fact. Only the remaining 8 to 10% is made up of vital proteins, glucose, and other essential nutrients.
Now, here is a fantastic logical question for you. If plasma is mostly just water, why does it have a distinct yellowish tint? Well, it all comes down to a substance called bilirubin, which is essentially waste produced by your liver when old red blood cells are broken down. You might think it's kind of weird to have liver waste just floating around in your bloodstream, right? But this so-called trash is actually a sign of health. It proves that your body's cellular recycling center is running perfectly. The color of your plasma is determined by how efficiently your body cleans up after itself.
But plasma isn't just a waste transporter. It also carries this amazing spy-like gadget called fibrinogen. This is a soluble protein that floats peacefully in your plasma until an alarm sounds. And what's the alarm? Air. The second you get a wound and your blood touches outside air, this soluble protein instantly transforms into insoluble fibrin threads. It immediately weaves this microscopic, solid net over the wound, stopping the bleeding and laying the groundwork for healing. It's a real game changer for survival.
Section 3. Blood cells, floating boats. Okay, so now that we understand the water, let's investigate the highly specialized boats floating on it. The crucial thing to understand here is how utterly distinct these 3 cellular boats are. We've got red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. They each have vastly different lifespans, different structural rules regarding whether they have a brain-like nucleus, and entirely different life-saving missions. Take the red blood cell, or erythrocyte. It famously lacks a nucleus, except in camels and llamas, curiously enough. Now, it's super easy to view this missing command center as a biological flaw. Like, how can a cell run for 120 days without a brain? But logically, it's an evolutionary masterstroke. By sacrificing its own command center, the cell optimizes its internal space, allowing it to pack in maximum amounts of hemoglobin. It literally gives up its brain to become the ultimate delivery van, hauling as much life-saving oxygen as physically possible. So what happens when that 120-day delivery route is finally over? The red blood cells travel to the spleen to die.
But the spleen isn't just a tragic graveyard, it's a highly efficient recycling center. When the cell breaks down, the spleen extracts the valuable iron from the hemoglobin and ships it straight back to your red bone marrow to build brand new cells. Absolutely nothing is wasted.
Meanwhile, let's look at the other two boats. Our white blood cells, our immune soldiers, absolutely must keep their nucleus. They live anywhere from 2 to 15 days, and they need that command center to make complex, rapid decisions about what is a native cell and what is a hostile invader, so they can design specific antibodies. Then we have platelets, our medics, living just 3 to 5 days. They work in tandem with vitamin K, which builds clotting proteins in the liver, and calcium, which acts as the physical spark to ignite that incredible fibrogen net we talked about just a minute ago.
Section 4. Blood Groups, Game of Identity.
We know how blood functions now, which naturally leads to a massive historical question. Why couldn't we easily share it with one another? This brings us to Carl Landsteiner's brilliant Nobel Prize-winning discovery of blood groups. For a long time, blood transfusions were a deadly gamble. But Landsteiner realized that blood compatibility relies entirely on cellular identity markers. And instead of just memorizing the blood types, we can use his discovery to finally understand them through pure logic.
Think of it like this. An antigen, which sits on the surface of your red blood cell, is your physical ID card, and the antibodies floating around in the plasma are the ruthless security guards.
This dynamic explains the whole system beautifully. Group O cells have no antigens, no ID cards, and because they have no ID, they don't trigger any alarms, making Group O the universal donor. They can sneak past anyone's security guards. On the flip side, Group AB has both A and B ID cards. Because it naturally holds both IDs, its plasma deploys 0 security guards. Otherwise, it would just attack itself. Having 0 guards makes Group AB the universal acceptor. It's just a perfectly logical game of IDs and security guards.
Section 5. One final intriguing question. We've traveled all the way from the macro scale of the biological river down to the microscopic border patrol. Rather than just staring at flashcards and memorizing disconnected facts, you now logically know the strict life-or-death margins of that 7.4 pH tightrope. You know that the spleen isn't just a spooky graveyard, it's a scrap metal recycling facility for iron. You understand the specific chemical triggers of vitamin K and calcium, and you see that the complex web of blood compatibility is just a beautifully simple security system of ID cards and guards.
But as we finish this explainer, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to ponder. We learned earlier from the source material that moving to high altitudes forces your body to produce more red blood cells to capture the thinner oxygen. So, if humans live at extreme altitudes indefinitely and their blood progressively thickens from all those extra cells, what incredible biological engineering, what massive structural adaptations must the human heart undergo to survive pumping this thickened biological sludge every single second of every single day? It's a fascinating look at human evolution and definitely something to think about until our next explainer. Thanks for joining.